This is the history of policing system in Australia. In 1788, the very first policing system of Australia was created. It is called the New South Wales Police. Governor Arthur Phillip appointed the very first police officer in Australia. The NSW police was controlled by the Royal Navy Marines. They were appointed to change their policing to the Federal Capital Territory. But then, the NSW resisted the arrangement made by the Commonwealth and the state government. So, the government was forced to make a new policing body, which is the Peace Officer Guards. The Peace Officer Guards, or the POG, was created on 1925 to continue the supposed to be duties of the NSW. When the civilian workers started a strike in factories, the government put an agency under the Peace Officer Guards. It was called the Defense Establishment Guard. The goal of DEG, or the Defense Establishment Guard, was to ensure the protection and the safety of the factory workers and the factory from the rebels. On 1917, the police officer guards was replaced by the Commonwealth Police that was created by Prime Minister Billy Hughes. After realizing that the Commonwealth Police are succeeding, they added branches under it. It was called the Commonwealth Investigation Branch. Then, in 1945, and they created the Commonwealth Security Service that was aimed to protect the country from the betrayals of the Allies and the other neighboring countries. After the CCS branch, they also created the CIS. It is the Commonwealth Investigation Service. It is made to reduce the duties of the CCS. In 1927, the Australian Capital Territory Police was created after the NSW Police landed on Canberra. The ACT Police was controlled and composed by the Peace Officer Guards and the Commonwealth Investigation Services. The ACT Police and the Commonwealth Police that was made by Prime Minister Billy Hughes was the first two Commonwealth Police agency. But in 1960, a new police body was created. It is called the Commonwealth Police, or the COMPOL. Just like the ACT was composed by the Peace Officer Guards and the Commonwealth Investigation Services. Okay. But unlike the ACT Police, the Commonwealth Police specified that the investigators from the Commonwealth Investigation Services should wear plain shirts, while the Peace Officer Guards was tasked to be uniformed. In March 1975, the Australia attempted to pass a bill that was called the Australia Police. In this bill, the Australia Police was said to be the combination of the three agencies, which are the Commonwealth Police, the ACT Police, and the Northern Territory Police. But on its second reading, it was rejected by the government, saying that those three agencies should just continue what they are doing, and they didn't found the essence of the bill to be passed. That's why they rejected it. However, in 1969, when the drug trafficking internationally and nationally were increasing, the government had an idea to form a new policing body. The function or the goals of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics was to communicate and gather information to, from another country to be able to stop the increasing drug trafficking cases internationally and locally. 1979, when the bombing in Sydney, Australia, on a hotel there happened under the Commonwealth Police, under the Commonwealth Police era, the government was forced to had an idea to create a federal law agency. This federal law agency was called the Australian Federal Police, where it is composed by the three agencies: the Bureau of Narcotics Bureau, the ACT Police, and the Commonwealth Police. The Australian Federal Police was said to be the most successful and the most adaptable policing system in the Australia. It is it is said to as an adaptable policing system because it took the change as a modification quickly to quickly respond to criminal cases, unlike the other or the past policing system in the Australia. While the Australian Federal Police was succeeding, the government had an idea to add another branch under it. This was called the Australian Protective System. Australian Protective System was aimed to protect the establishments, the families, and the properties under the Commonwealth. And furthermore, it is tasked to be the responsible on the immigration detection centers.
So my name is Francesca Rian Banag. We will talk about the structure of Australian Federal Police. First, the Australian Federal Police is responsible for the policing of Australia Capital Territory, or ACT policing. There are also other law enforcement agencies that maintains law and order. The first one is the ACC, or Australian Crime Commission. They are responsible for the investigations relating to organized criminals. The next one is Australian Border Force, or ABF. It is for customs and immigration. They can only exercise their power in airports jurisdiction, like apprehend and detain criminals before they present it to federal or state law enforcement officer. The next one is Australian Security Intelligence Organisation, or ASIO. They are responsible for national security. They coordinate with AFP with arrest and detention. They have the power to intercept telecommunications or secretly put surveillance or tracking device. The Australian Customs and Border Protection Service, or ACBPS. They oversee the Australian borders. They are responsible for detection and the prevention of illegal development of products such as illegal drugs, firearms, and individuals over the borders. There are also other Australian Police Service since Australia has 8 states and territories, so these police have their own corresponding territories. They are the New South Wales Police Force, Northern Territory Police, Queensland Police, South Australia Police, Tasmania Police, Victoria Police, and Western Australia Police Force. Next one is rank insignia. So the AFP empowers members for their works and capacities. So the granting of ranks to the members has been a conventional way in which the members' obligations, achievements, and development has been measured or recognized. So the first one the title they can have is the constable. Only then after 4 years of police service, they can have the first constable rank. And the next one is after 6 years of police service, they only then they can have the senior constable. The next one is the leading senior constable, and the member must have at least 12 to 15 years of service. And the promotion starting from sergeant to commissioner will be based on application or merits or the awards. So in here, the insignia is it is called the chevron. So it's like a roof, and one legend is that the chevron was granted to a knight to appear. He had taken part in capturing a castle or town, and the chevron was taken after the rooftops. The next one is the St. Edward's crown. It is the foremost vital items of royal regalia, and it has been the official crown used on police as as symbol since Queen Elizabeth II ascended to the position. So the next one is the Bath Star or the Pit. It is the most noteworthy arrangement of British knighthood dating back to 1603. And the next one is the crossed batons or tipstaff. They have had these since police first carried them in the 1700s and early 1800s. The next one is the AFP organization chart. So in here you can see the commissioner is the one that leads the AFP. He handles the other leaders of each department, and like the executive director, protection deputy commissioner, chief police officer. So they have their own departments in here. And so that's all for the structure of Australian Federal Police. So in here you will know the mission, vision, function, and priorities and values of Australian Federal Police. So the first one is the mission. As Australia's national policing agency, we protect Australians and Australia's interests. Next is the vision. Policing for a safer Australia. Next is our role and function. The AFP's role is to enforce Commonwealth criminal law, contribute to combating complex, transnational, serious and organized crime impacting Australia's national security, and to protect Commonwealth interests from criminal activity in Australia and overseas. The AFP also has responsibility for providing policing services to the Australian Capital Territory and Australia's territories, including Christmas Island, Cocos, Keeling Island, Norfolk Island, and Jervis Bay. The AFP works closely with a range of other law enforcement and government agencies at state, territory, Commonwealth and international levels, enhancing safety and providing a secure regional and global environment. Next is our priorities. The AFP's priorities are informed by the ministerial direction. Areas of operational emphasis include investigating complex transnational, serious and organized crime, protecting Australians and Australia's interests from terrorism and violence extremism, representing the Australian police and law enforcement on an international level, developing unique capabilities and exploiting advanced technology to support Australia's national interests. Values. 1 AFP, we are ethical and values driven, embracing diversity and inclusion, value fairness, trust, respect, accountability, integrity, commitment, and excellence in service of the community and for each other. So that's the mission, vision, roles and function, values and priorities of the Australian Federal Police.
NSW Police Force is one of the greatest police agencies in the English-speaking world. It commenced as the first civilian police pressure in Australia, diagnosed with the Night Watch, and was once formed by Governor Arthur Phillip in 1789 to shield Sydney Town. In 1862, all watch teams have been combined below the Police Regulation Act 1862 to shape the NSW Police Force. That act used to be later replaced by way of the Police Regulation Act 1889. So NSW Police Force is one of the greatest police force in English-speaking world. It was formed by Governor Arthur Phillip in 1789 to cover Sydney Town. So in June 1987, the NSW Police Force, which had carriage of operations, and the NSW Police Department, which had carriage of coverage and administration, have been amalgamated. We operate underneath the Police Act 1990 and the Police Regulations 2008. In 1788, with the arrival of First Fleet at Sydney Cove, the initial policing of the colony of NSW was in the hands of the Royal Navy Marines. So noong 1788, sa pagdating po ng First Fleet at Sydney Cove, ang initial policing of the colony ay napunta sa Royal Navy Marines. And in 1810-1850, initially in rural areas, police were appointed by the local justices of the peace and became known as bench police or benchers. Noong 1810 to 1850, initially in rural areas, police are appointed by the local justices of the peace, at ito ay tinawag na bench police or benchers. In 1862, the Police Regulation Act was passed by the Colonial Parliament on March 1, 1862. All existing police forces amalgamated to establish the NSW Police Force under former Army Captain John McCleary as Inspector General. So, the Police Regulation Act ay pinasa ng Colonial Parliament noong March 1, 1862, at lahat ng kasalukuyang pulis ay pinag-isa para mabuo ang NSW Police Force under former Army Captain John McCleary as Inspector General. In 1903, the fingerprint section was formed. It became the Central Fingerprint Bureau of Australia. So, noong 1903, ang fingerprint section ay nabuo, at ito ay tinuring na Central Fingerprint Bureau ng Australia. In 1911, the first police prosecutors was appointed to force and appeared in the Arch. Noong 1911, ang unang police prosecutors ay na-appoint sa force at sa force at appeared in the court. So, sa pwersa at sa pagdinig sa korte. In 1997, the restructure of the NSW Police Service led to 80 local area commands as the focal point of policing within 11 geographic regions with appropriate specialists and corporate commands. So, noong 1997, ang NSW ay na-reconstruct na buo ng 80 local area commands as the focal point of policing na hinati sa 11 geographic regions with appropriate specialists and corporate commands. In 2002 to 2003, the NSW Police Force was highly praised for the security arrangements for the 2000 Sydney Olympic Games on September 1. So, noong 2002 to 2003, ang NSW Police Force was highly praised because of the security arrangements during the 2000 Sydney Olympic Games on September 1. In 2007, Commissioner Andrew Scipion is sworn in a Commissioner of Police. So, in 2007, si Andrew Scipion ay naging Commissioner of the Police sa Australia. In 2010, the Community Awareness of Policing Program, CAP, a first for law enforcement agencies in Australia, was introduced in an NSW, developed by the NSW Police Force Customer Service Program, provides leaders of our communities with unique insight into policing in NSW. So, noong 2010, Community Awareness of Policing Program, a first for law enforcement agencies, was introduced in NSW para pinaalala sa NSW ang CAP. At dinivelop ito ng NSW Police Force na upang mag-provide ng leaders ng community na mayroong unique insight with the policing in NSW. On March 30, 2017, Commissioner Michael Fuller is sworn in as Commissioner of Police. So in March 30, 2017, may bagong commissioner na si Michael Fuller as Commissioner of Police.
The centralized, state-based nature of policing in Australia is historically grounded in the colonial history, which was settled by England in 788 as a convict colony. The first formally Van Diemen land. Most of the other states in Australia had been proclaimed. Policing in the development of civilian police was aided by the provision of ex-convicts, as this District of Sydney were ex-convicts by Bryant Harrison and Shaw, 1994. Meaning, in this slide, they're particularing that the colonial history of the Australia is the grounded time, and their former police officer were ex-convicts, and during this time the crime and the brutal acts were prone, and because of the effect of the police officer who were once police ex-convicts. Professional police services only began to emerge in Australia in the latter half of the 19th century, while some historians have identified the Sydney Police Act 1833 NSW as an important landmark in the development of police forces in Australia. Subsequent reforms can be linked to the passage of the New South Wales Police Regulation Act of 1982, as well as similar legislation in Western Australia during the same period. Like the other country, Australia is being controlled or governed by their respective officers, and other country by the Australia. Like in this slide, like many other country like the Philippines, the basic rule is they are being controlled by they're being governed by their own government, and in this time they are the Australians are independent in other countries. Next slide. As a consequence of the increasing public disquiet over police corruption, a series of major inquiries, royal commissions have been conducted. The most recent and significant of these inquiries, the Spear and Rule Inquiry in Queensland, the Wood Royal Commission in 1987 in NSW, and the Kennedy Royal Commission 2002 in Western Australia have led to significant structural reforms in police accountability. In this oversight of police integrity, they also make a great reform and change in policing to gain confidence and avoid minor incidents such as police brutality and other illegal way. So in this in this slide, they are particular in reforming what is the history of the rule of the officers, how they will do their jobs, and they made major reforming to improve their policing system. Current organizational arrangements. By comparison to the majority of police organizations in the United Kingdom and North America, Australian police organizations are centralized, state-based, and large. A unique feature of such organizations is that are very highly bureaucratized and ultimately accountable to the citizenry through a minister and elected member of parliamentary. So in this slide, they achieved their reforming that the police officers and the other parliamentary are accountable to the citizen and to the minister as they been elect or member of the parliament. Although current policing arrangements in Australia are largely based at the state level, there is a mix of some federal policing bodies. In total, each of the 6 states, they have as well have different policing. They did not focus or copy any of the 6 states. The authority established in 1979. The AFP is responsible for federal law enforcement, money laundering, transitional crime, fraud against the Commonwealth. So in this slide, they state that the Australia has 6 states, and they every state in each 6 state they have different policing. They did not focus or copy any of the policing. So they focus on statutory authority established in 1979, being responsible for federal law enforcement activities, including the prevention, detection, and investigation of drug offenses, money laundering, transitional crime, fraud against Commonwealth, and organized crime, and so on. In addition to the various state-based policing organizations, the Australian Crime Commission provides a coordinated national intelligence framework to cooperate with them within specific crimes. So, the Australians cooperate in other country to work with specific crimes or specific cases, just to easily just to be easy with their specific jobs. such as illegal handgun trafficking, money laundering, and tax fraud. Current challenges and qualities, a series of unique challenges. Current challenges and qualities, a series of unique challenges and characteristics, help shape the nature of police organizations in Australia. For example, Australia is geographically large country with a comparatively small population, approximately 20 million, that is unevenly distributed. Indeed, much of the Australian population is concentrated along coastal regions and metropolitan centers. Thus, Australian police organizations are required to provide policing services in large urban areas as well as in remote areas, some of which are only accessible by boat or plane. As a consequence, policing arrangements are highly varied. So, in this slide, they show the difficulty of the governing of the land of the Australia. So they say that some of the areas are geographically, or some are um, going to access with the by boat or either airplane, just to be with the just to go with some specific places in Australia. So the last page is despite the many unique challenges faced by police organizations in Australia, there exists is a highly progressive spirit across most organizations. Issues such as increased performance management through the use of operational performance reviews, which are based on the CompStat model developed in New York City, exist in most organizations. Similarly, police organizations in Australia are well placed for addressing police integrity and a range of other issues, including civilization. In summary, police organizations in Australia are increasingly promoting greater effectiveness in police service delivery. At the same time, are working toward greater accountability for the work they do. So in this slide, this is their result in reforming their governing and other stuff, just to improve. And they say that police organizations in Australia are increasingly promoting greater effectiveness in police service delivery. So the in this slide, they show that their police officers in Australia are doing great, and such effectiveness in their jobs and service delivery to the citizen, and accountability for their work. So that's all.
Australia Policing System. The qualifications. All applicants must at time of application hold Australian citizenship and provide required document. Be 18 years of age or above. Hold a driver license. The provisional and automatic license will be accepted. At a minimum, hold a Year 10 certificate with a certificate for or the diploma level qualification on the certificate. University level qualifications also welcome. Remember that you may be required to be provide evidence and uploaded educational certificates with requested. Complete and submit the employment suitability questionnaire. The employment suitability questionnaire is assessed against published employment with character guidelines. Provide a copy of your current traffic history through the local motor registry for each territory where a driver license has been held. As you progress through the recruitment process, where requested, you will be also required for provide first certificate including CPR component that is valid and current for duration for training program period. Provide evidence of the ability of able to swim 100 meters freestyle non-stop and unaided evidence of this will be required on AFP form. Provide a fingerprint sample and undertake drug testing to test for illicit drugs in accordance with the AFP illicit drug workforce policy and prior to your engagement. Undergo the security clearance process for obtain a minimum a negative vaulting level 1 security clearance. And the benefits of policing system in Australia is entry-level recruit in police officer receive $59,252 per annum during the 24-week live-in training. And after graduation, salary increased to $61,450 and plus 22% of composition allowance on top of this base salary where flexible working pattern is requested. In entry-level recruit in Protective Service Officer or PSO, receive $55,049 per annum during the 12-week live-in training program. And after graduation, you will receive 22% composite allowance, interest advance with occur 12 months after the date of engagement. And remuneration and certain entitlement may vary between the categories of AFP employment depending on your work location, type of work, working pattern, and access to flexible work opportunities. Refer to the AFP employment agreement. And when you leave, the AFP has generously provisions that foster work, life, balance, and give you opportunity to rest and recharge. 6 weeks, 30 days paid annual leave per year with options to purchase an additional leave, take leave, and at half pay and cash out leave. 4 mandatory rest days of your per year. 18 days paid personal leave per year. 10 weeks paid mandatory leave after 12 months of service. And for each confinement, an additional 36 weeks maternity leave without pay. Paid long service leave after 10 years and in Commonwealth service, adoption leave, and compassionate leave provisions are also available. And the AFP may offers many other benefits and opportunity to its employees including comprehensive superannuation measures and probationary arrangement. In comprehensive measures, 40-hour working week subject to flexible without requirements. Career advancement and investment in your professional development. A team-based work employment based on mutual respect and cooperation and free from discrimination, bullying, and harassment. Active involvement with cases, law enforcement agencies in many other countries, and international capacity building obligations. In probationary arrangements, their ongoing employment will be subject to successfully completing probation, which is period of 6 months, and will commence on engagement with the AFP. During probation, your suitability for employment in the AFP is assessed through training and on-the-job experience, your work performance and conduct. For aspect of poor work performance or conduct, the suitability serious or not showing any signs of improvement, employment may be terminated. Upon from the college ACT police officer and first federal agent to recruit have 12 months to complete a workbook assessment, and failure to complete the requirements may result in action in relation to underperformance. And this will be the end of the slide.